Halloween may be over, but don't throw away that pumpkin. Let's make some Crockpot Pumpkin Butter. So delicious. You're going to love this recipe. These are the little Cherokee tan pumpkins that I grew in my backyard this year. This is 10. I grew close to 20. I've given a lot away and used some in decorating, but I'm going to cook these up and let's get going. So the first step to cooking the little small Cherokee tan pumpkins is I washed each one with some good soapy water, and then I'm going to take a sharp knife and just cut these in half, because we've got to be able to bake these without all that pulp and seed in the middle. So this will work with pretty much any kind of pumpkin. If you want to take your pumpkin that you had sitting out on your porch and you want to make some pumpkin bread or pumpkin butter, this is what you need to do to get started. So I've got it cut open, and I'm just taking a canning lid and just scraping out that pulp and all the seeds. Now I grew all of these pumpkins in my backyard with just 3 seeds. These little pumpkins will take over your whole backyard if you're not careful, but they sure do produce. I still have 3 growing in the backyard now. But you just scoop out all of that pulp, and then you've got a foil lined pan over to the side, and you just set those face down. And we're going to bake those in a 350 degree oven for about 50 minutes to an hour, because we want to be able just to spoon out all that pumpkin meat. So I took all 10 of these, cut them in half, took off the stem, scraped out all the seeds and pulp, and then I'm going to put these in the oven and bake them just like you see here, face down, until they're all good and done. Now the leftover seeds, you could always roast those, but you know, I've got a hen house full of hungry chickens, so I'm going to take that out back to them and just let them enjoy for the next few days. Now you can do this with big pumpkins too, but these are the little ones that I always grow to use for pumpkin pies, pumpkin bread, and now I'm going to make some delicious pumpkin butter. There's the oven at 350. So I'm going to I've got 2 trays of them. In this recipe I actually doubled. So to make one recipe I would just need 5 pumpkins, but I did double this recipe. So we're going to bake these. I ended up having to bake these for about an hour to get them good and tender. So I set my timer, and then when they're done, this is what they look like. I turned them over to let that heat escape, and then we're going to start with the spoon just scooping all of that delicious pumpkin meat out. And I've got already all my spices and sugars measured out to go ahead and get ready to put all this in the crock pot. So just using a spoon, I'm going to scoop out that beautiful pumpkin meat into this big bowl. And you wait till they cool down a little bit, because they're going to be very hot. So once it's cool, you can just take your spoon, scoop it out. Now, the recipe I'm going to leave in the description box below for this crock pot butter is so good and so delicious because it uses some really good spices. I've always loved apple butter, but I'm telling you, this pumpkin butter beats it hands down for me. I just love the taste of the pumpkin pie spices mixed into this butter. Now, if you are someone that doesn't know how to pressure can, no worries. This works great for the freezer. So I'm not even going to bother canning this. I've got some really nice little freezer containers. I'm going to put this in and freeze it and then thaw it out whenever I need some good old pumpkin butter. Store this in the fridge for 2 weeks and 6 months in the freezer. So after everything has been scooped out, I'm just taking my immersion blender and just kind of going through there and breaking up any lumps. You could certainly put this in a food processor and just mix it until all of the lumps and the pulp are mixed together. See how pretty and smooth that is? Now here's a look at the spices that I needed to use. I've got vanilla, ginger, cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, brown sugar, regular white sugar and apple juice. So I mixed all my spices up and I poured them in the crock pot. Then I added in the pulp from the pumpkins, and then I just stirred it until all the sugar was dissolved. I'm cutting this crock pot on low for 6 hours. Now I did go back about every hour and stir because you don't want it to burn. It's just a slow cooking process, and I did want those lumps that you can see now broken up. So about every hour I'd go in and just give it a really good stir. Now it will get darker in color, and I'm telling you, it's the best smell in this house right now. So after 6 hours, I got it to the thickness and consistency that I wanted. You can see how really thick it is now. And I'm just scooping it into some freezer containers. It's such a beautiful caramel color, and it is so delicious. So I'm just going to put these in my freezer. Now I doubled this recipe. The recipe that I'm going to leave below in the description is a single recipe, but I really want to use up those 10 Cherokee tan pumpkins because I've still got more that I'm going to cook later, and use the puree in pies, pumpkin pies for Thanksgiving. So now you can see how easy it is to take those pumpkins that you've got and turn it into something delicious to give for family and friends. So don't throw them out. Just follow these simple directions and make you some Crockpot pumpkin butter. Now I did fill 2 jars, and I'm going to put these in the refrigerator. And like I said, the recipe says that it will last in your refrigerator for 2 weeks. So I'm going to give 1 jar to my sister, and then we're going to eat that other jar up. And then of course over the holidays I can pull out some pumpkin butter for breakfast or for a good snack. I imagine I will be able to pour this over some crescent rolls and bake those in the oven and have a really good pumpkin dessert. There's just so much you can do with this, and I really hope you'll give it a try because it is delicious. So the next morning I got up early, made a big batch of buttermilk biscuits, put on some real butter, and then I just put on a big dollop of this pumpkin butter. Boy, did my dad and my husband love this. It was so delicious on a hot biscuit, y'all. Y'all gonna love this. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. I hope you try it. Let me know if you do and what you think. Love to hear from you. And if you love pumpkin as much as I do, head over to Pinterest and check out my Everything Pumpkin board. I've been collecting pumpkin recipes and craft ideas for years there. Would love to have you follow me over on Pinterest. I will leave a link to my Everything Pumpkin Pinterest board in the description box below, along with this delicious recipe. Good. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I hope you have a very blessed holiday season.